So a business owner I know, very sharp, very experienced, 15 years of success in their business. They spent over $50,000 launching a new product line last year. 6 months of planning, full rebrand, the whole team involved, updated website. They even had a launch event. There's one problem. Nobody wanted it. It didn't fail because it was necessarily a bad idea. It failed because they never bothered to ask the right people before they built it. Now, a 3-week test, a few customer conversations, a simple landing page, one small pilot would have told them everything they needed to know for about $500. Today, we're going to make sure that never happens to you. Welcome to Focus Conversations. I'm Laura, and now that I've hopefully hooked you, I'll introduce us properly. My guest today, my esteemed guest today, has spent decades operating in environments where a wrong decision costs a lot more than $50,000. Bob Rehorn is a retired U.S. Air Force senior officer with some of the most hair-raising and eye-popping stories you can imagine. And that experience led him to decades of leading complex technology development and transferring them to commercial markets under real pressure, where speed and clarity and decision-making aren't just nice to have, they were survival. So Bob, I'm going to skip the rest of your awesome bio and ask you the question that gets us right to it. With the intense experience that you've had in your impressive professional life, what would you say is the single biggest decision mistake that you see business owners make?
Thanks, Laura. Good morning, and an early good morning to you. Hi, everybody. So what's the biggest mistake or risk? Hey, people make wrong calls. There's no question. But I think making the wrong call, even worse, is making a call too late. You wait so long, you lose an advantage, or you wait so long that you overthink it and you can't react quickly, or you make a decision and you overcommit to something that may not be realistically possible, and the train is coming and you keep going.
Oh,
Wait too long.
Way too long. Yes. And that's really what today's about, is moving faster and reducing the risk at the same time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump in here. I'm going to send a quick poll out. So before we dive in, this is kind of the real talk. So which one of these things disrupts ideation at your company? Is it overthinking into oblivion? Is it overcommitting before you know enough? Or is somebody else in your company saying, yeah, we've already tried that, been there, done that? Or maybe is it all three of those? Is the poll showing up for you? Okay, good.
Yeah. Overthinking.
Since we don't have most of the people that signed up on, we don't have to wait too long for the poll to be completed. So there's always bonuses, right? All right. It looks like we've got kind of half and half on this. Overthinking into oblivion and overcommitting before you know enough. So that ties right into what you were saying, Bob. And I think that both of those are super common in this real quick. First time I've used polls, kind of fun. Super common in today's market. So, all right. So when we overcommit, means you've probably experienced some tough failures. So hopefully you found the silver lining and you're willing to try experimenting in a more controlled environment. And the overthinking kind of just means you've got great ideas just sitting on a document somewhere. So we're hopefully going to be able to fix that for you today. So here's the trap that most businesses fall into. They treat new ideas like they're a binary choice, like it's either go big or don't go at all. So when they overthink and never move, or they overcommit and they burn resources, finding out what a small test would have told them in 2 weeks can make all the difference. But there's also a third option, and it's what separates businesses that learn fast from the ones that stay stuck.
So we get started, right? The SMART experiment. And it's not a concept. It's actually it's a process. It's a framework. It's a discipline in the way you do it, so that you don't overthink and you don't think or overcommit. Like we were talking one time, someone wanted to have help with a training device for an ops training device. And we went off and created a whole virtual reality when actually they just needed a virtual machine interface. It's kind of overcommitting. You need to do without just doing a smart experiment. They just went off into let's tech it up. So yeah.
Well, I find it interesting that you say that because I think when we get really passionate about an idea, we tend to overdo it, right? Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So
Yeah.
it's not just overcommitting, it's the passion that overflows sometimes into overcommitting. So
Yeah, it's like you can't just propose on your knee anymore. You have to bring in the whole band and the choir and everybody else. That's right.
heck, that's even the case for prom proposals these days. It's funny.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
so let me define this smart experience precisely. Because I mean, smart experiment, I rather, because I think experiment, the word experiment gets misused. In a business context, it can mean anything from, we tried a Facebook ad all the way to pivoting the entire business. So, for the sake of our discussion today, a smart experiment has 4 specific qualities that answers one critical question. It uses the smallest possible commitment. It runs for a defined period, and it ends with a pre-agreed decision, not a committee meeting. So would you care to go over that just a little bit more for us, Bob?
Yeah, I think if you really with a smart experiment, the short of it is it's here's the box, right? Between being assumption driven, it's question driven, and I can go through all this, but I think the most important thing is that with all of this, with a smart experiment, it's tight on people, it's tight on resources, and it's tight on time. Know the end at the beginning and get to it, and then if not, kill it quickly. People, resources, and time tightly put together.
Yeah, I like that. I also really love how like this little box is so simple, but it the whole low cost of being wrong versus the alternatives. I think that's pretty important for all of us business owners to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about low cost in in dollars. We're talking about time, team commitment, and one thing that rarely gets discussed, and that's culture. I think that you have something that you like the example that I gave at the beginning of this. Everybody works so hard to launch something and it fails. It creates a big morale problem, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You found that out with your
So,
example.
yeah. So the cost is much greater than just what we're, just the dollar amount. So I wanted to kind of share that as well. So I've got another Zoom poll real quick for you guys. I think. Stop. Oh, here's how you do it. Okay. All right. So, want you to be honest. Does your team have a defined process for testing ideas before committing? Do you have one? You sort of have one, but it's informal. Not really. It's mostly your gut and approval from whomever. And yeah, process. What? So the thing I like about these polls is that it doesn't say who it was. So I don't know if that was John or Steve who answered about gut instinct, but yes, it is. All right, good. We have something to work with here then. So we've got an informal and a not really. It's mostly gut instinct with approval. So I think that like anything, it's similar to strategy. You take something and you make it a little more formal, prepare for it a little more. You have better meetings when you prepare. You have better one-on-ones when you prepare. You have a better business when you prepare. It's the same thing about anything new that you're going to try, is assigning a process to it. Even for those of us who are not process related, can make all the difference in how that goes. So, I'd like to make this a little more real and walk through that 4-step model. And then you're going to use it on your own idea. So start thinking right now of an idea, because we're going to make it real. I want to have you guys get your notes app out or pen and paper, whatever you need, because you're not just going to be watching this. You're going to be doing this right along as we share this 4-step frame. So, by the way, if either of you, Steve or John, thought I'll do this later is how that $50,000 mistake happened. So just go ahead and do it now. Let's practice now. All right. Bob, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Step one is you're stating your belief. So it's not an idea, it's your belief. So you kind of fill in the blank of, we believe this specific action, whatever it is, will result in an outcome, specific outcome for my business. Just one sentence. I believe if I do X, then the outcome will be Y. No, just write it down. If there's something in your life right now, maybe work, maybe life, maybe your own personal health, maybe in your neighborhood, maybe in your after work baseball team, whatever. There you go.
Yeah, and to give you some context, we're going to walk through an example right along with you as well. So while you guys are thinking that through, turn me on in the background, I guess. So here's our example. We're going to have a cleaning company, and their step one, they're stating their belief says, we believe that medical office managers in our metro area have unmet needs that our current services can address, and that they'll take a meeting based on targeted outreach. The reason this is a good start is because he's not assuming he's going to win the business yet. He's testing whether there's a conversation to be had at all. That's the right first question. You don't need to close a deal to validate a market. You need to get a meeting in order to learn. So it doesn't have to be huge. Just start small.
All right.
Got something?
Alex. Okay. We ready? Step two. This is how you get right at it and you don't waste time. Find the kill question. What's the single question you can ask about your assumption in step one that would absolutely prove you wrong and kill it? It's a really important step, and it's actually the most skipped one. It's like, yeah, well, maybe, but you got to come up with a kill question. If you don't know what might kill your idea, your assumption, then you might not learn anything. That's why you got to ask that question. I certainly needed to learn that much earlier in life. Sometimes I did.
Didn't we all?
What's the downside? Why else would you not do this?
Yeah. That kill question is the most skipped one. For our example, the kill question is, will at least 4 out of the 15 targeted medical office managers agree to a discovery call within the next 30 days? So you can see sort of created a plan, and the kill question was related to that plan. His plan was to, in the next 30 days, try to set up 15 medical office manager appointments. And he needed at least 4 of those to hit. That's a 27% response rate. In a cold outreach in a new market, that's kind of realistic. That's a decent threshold. It's not a home run, but it's enough to indicate genuine interest, right? So if he gets 0 or 1, the market either doesn't have the problem that he thinks it has, or his positioning isn't landing.
Okay. Think on a kill question. Step 3 then is, what's the smallest step? What's the smallest test you can design? And it's not a safe version. It's really a pilot at the smallest level. What's the one thing you can do in the shortest feasible period of time? In a week, in 3 days, fine. Maybe what you're doing doesn't happen within that period and you have to wait in a 30-day cycle. Okay, make it 30, but make it the shortest feasible time where you can you can look at what you're doing to then go after it, pivot, scale it, or kill it.
It's all about learning fast,
Fast.
right? So for our example, it almost seems backwards because the kill question kind of came after this process, but his experiment was to build a list of 15 medical offices within 20 miles, send a personalized outreach, not a mass email, but very, very specific, referencing a specific pain point for medical facilities, spend 2 weeks on outreach. No new hires. He did this himself. So you didn't have to put out a lot of money, didn't have to hire anybody new. It wasn't a $60,000 sales hire or 15 calls and emails. All it cost him was his time. So the value of what he learns is huge either way.
All right. Then that step 4, and again, while we go through it in a linear way, they're all intertwined, right? Yeah. Step 4 is set your action decision date. Could be for an action, could be to kill it, but set a date, a specific time in which you make your decision. Am I going to scale it? Am I going to pivot to it or away from it? Or am I going to kill it? Not let me think on it or we'll try again. Decide. That's step number 4. Pretty intertwined with step number 3, really.
Which ties in nicely with what you're going to talk about later. So for our example, he decided that 4 meetings booked in 30 days, 4 meetings out of all that in 30 days means that we explore hiring a dedicated rep. Fewer than 4 means that we redo our positioning or kill the expansion altogether. So he had a very definite thing about the kill date, 30 days, not when we get around to reviewing it. The date is a huge part of that discipline, like Bob said. Without a kill date, experiments become zombie projects, right? And they drain the energy of anybody involved without ever producing a decision. Additionally, notice that he decides what success looks like beforehand, not after he reviews the results and talks himself into the results that he wanted. That's where passion can really mess up our whole goal, right? Passion can be like, but I really think that this is a real deal, but the results don't show that. So you have to decide what success is beforehand. So the success, what it looks like, and the date are vitally important to this whole framework working. So, guys, let's see if you were able to come up with anything. If you can, drop your idea into chat. So again, the format is we believe this. This is our belief. It's not just a idea. This is the belief or our assumption. And then what your kill question for that is. We'll give you a little bit of time to throw that into chat, and then we can see if we can play with one of those or more. Oh, okay. No problem, John. It's okay. Listening is a good thing. So I'll take that. And Dr. Steve, thank you. So your belief or assumption is that I believe if I post great LinkedIn videos, people will buy the training. Good. I like that. So your LinkedIn videos are about specific trainings, I presume. So the kill question is, what if nobody responds? This is good. You're heading down the right road. And so let's just narrow that down a little bit. Let's talk about what a kill question really is trying to answer is the specific. How many responses do you need in order for no one or the right amount to matter? Right? Do you want one response? Do you want 5 responses? What actually counts? So let's determine that ahead of time. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, tell me how many responses would matter to you.
Well, in step 4, is where we, set the action and the decision date. So if we look at by the end of the experiment, like by the end of number 4, I should have at least 10.
Okay, 10 responses on a LinkedIn thing is definitely, you're going for it. So that's good. That's fine. Just know that if you always set your kill question super high, there's a good possibility that you're never going to go forward with any of your ideations. So you have to maybe, and that's fine. You may know this better than me because you do a lot of LinkedIn posts. So 10 with your audience probably does make sense. I also need you to narrow that down a little bit more into a date. 10 responses by what date? By how long after you're...
Right. So the smallest test, step number 3, though, I was going to push out a LinkedIn video one every week that's specific around this workshop. And the decision date was the end of May. So basically 1 month, pushing these out at least once a week. Yeah, once a week. And so by the end of May, I should have 10 favorable responses, not just like it, but they're actually going, tell me more about that.
So this is where the hard part comes in. If at the end of this month of doing all this several LinkedIn posts, which means content creation with you, videos, all the things, it's a lot of work, right? and some, are you willing to kill it if you don't get those 10 responses at the end of the month?
Well, this is the question. So is the kill meaning LinkedIn videos don't work, or only once a week doesn't work? So this is where I'm thinking, right? So do you kill the idea of LinkedIn videos, or do you kill the idea of once a week is plenty?
So that's exactly why you're doing this, is to figure that out. So at this point, if I were your coach, I would tell you, what do you want to kill? Do you think that, you don't want, the training is still going to be happening one way or the other. It's how you're reaching the training, what your outreach is looking like. That's really what your goal is here, is right, to find the right outreach to pull people into your training. So this outreach approach isn't working in this method. So kill this experience, start over. So you can still do a LinkedIn thing, and maybe the content, maybe the approach, maybe there's a lot of different things to work with here, but start a new experience with new dates. Otherwise, what you're doing is just taking this experience and drawing it out. Start a new experiment. So as a coach, I would say that it's the once a week with the approach of the videos that you need to change up. So start a new experiment with a different approach and see if you have, and then you'll be able to compare them side by side. So as long as your
approach would be content.
Probably. Yeah. We can work through that, but yeah, I would guess that content, or maybe having somebody else in the video besides you, different things like that. But yeah, I would say probably content. But that's a perfect example. This can get convoluted pretty quick, because nothing is just as easy as the framework that Bob and I just outlined. It's never linear. And it's never quite that simple. There's always all these extenuating circumstances. The whole point is to make it as simple as you can, very concise on what the goal is, what the kill words, what the kill point is, and then what the dates are. Stop the experiment, start a new one. Anything to add there, Bob?
No, you're good. I didn't want to interrupt you. You're all over it. You're on a roll.
All right. Also, the other thing that kind of piggybacks on what I was just saying is that you just don't want to keep adding to your experiment. That whole stopping it, starting a new one, if you keep adding to it, you essentially create yourself a clinical trial, right? It's not a business test, it's a clinical trial. So let's get something that lasts that 1 month, pardon me, 2 weeks, 1 month, something like that, not 2 years, right? Don't keep trying the same thing over and over and just having and languishing. So,
one of the things that I like about this word experiment is that a true experiment, we have no idea how it'll turn out. So that's why I like what we're talking about so far is if I knew how it would turn out, it would not be an experiment.
That's right.
there you go.
It's a smart experiment. That's right.
Jeez. It's like we have you planted in there, Dr. Steve.
No. The smart part, I'm doubting, but the experiment part, yeah, I got that. So, yeah.
All right. So this is only a 1 hour little webinar just to get you thinking, right? So we just gave you one framework. I've got a worksheet that I'm going to drop into chat that you guys can download. So that's goes along with this framework, but it ties in a whole nother concept. So you may have heard of it before, you may have not, but it's a really good way to drive this home. So Bob, I'd like you to kind of take everything that you learned from the Air Force, but more importantly, how you used that in operations for all those years, because it reframes everything that we just covered in a super powerful way. So take it away.
We were going to talk about the OODA loop next. John, you've been great for hanging in there with us. Do you know the OODA loop?
Yes, Steve's touched on it a couple of times with me.
Well,
yes, I'm familiar with it. Could I teach it? Probably not, but I am familiar.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and you're a busy man, so I didn't want to waste your time. But I'll go through it and how it's applied if you'd like me to. But if Steve's talked about it, that's why I asked. I didn't mean to call you out as much as I just wanted to be efficient with your time.
No stress. I think that a high level overview is probably necessary, but I've probably gone through it with Steve twice over the last 2-3 years, so that's why it's top of mind, but not.
Okay, cool. Then I'll do it. All right. Well, so the OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. It's like a 60-year-old concept, but it was a framework to get inside your adversary while also to make yourself operate more quickly. So it's all about agility. But in a leadership model, it's a decision-making tool with an accelerator pedal, right? Which is the good part. It allows you to react faster to markets. It's guided by data and trends, which keeps you focused on your customer or the point of focus. And then you can also empower people to make decisions quicker, faster, lower. And the other thing that's got to be remembered, just kind of like we just talked about with the mini experiments, it's a loop. It's not a checklist, right? So interestingly, in the observe part in step 1, it's all about gathering intelligence, information, data. I've worked a lot in information operations. We live in a digital age, right? So information is today's hottest commodity, no question, but it's actionable information. So information into the observe point is only of value, and its value is only unlocked if when it's fed to be actionable into something to create something else, combined effects. In other words, putting high performance gas into your Ferrari, not ethanol, right? So this is done in the biz sense of just constant observation, customer feedback, etc. You got it. The other step of orientation next, which is really one of the more intangible parts of this, is that it's your situational awareness of where you're at. But in this, you strategize together, or you try to take multiple perspectives on something even in a group, a small group, using scenarios to challenge your assumptions. Another really important part that I've learned along the way is a multidisciplined team. It allows you to avoid groupthink or blinders if you have many different perspectives. I have a lot of examples of that where you actually have not just apples and oranges people, they have nothing in common and you make it come together. It really helps with orientation. And I think what I believe, well, many believe, is that decision makers and leaders in a demanding environment, they actually are stronger in orientation if they have a broader experiential or educational base. It allows them to unlock creativity in approaching wicked problems. If you will, you go outside the bun, right? All right, then you go on to decide. It's choose your approach. What are you going to do? What's your action? The big thing with UDA is that it encourages it to be timely, not necessarily perfect, but fast, right? Adapt and overcome quickly. So you're not delayed with the processes and gate reviews and or precision. You don't keep just polishing it. You move on. You're making an informed decision, but an agile decision, right? And then obviously you go on and you act on that decision. You launch an experiment, but you track the results. The most important thing, we go right back to the loop here, is that the actions feed right back into your observations. Again, there's the loop, right? It creates an environment, again, of combined effects. You've learned, you put it back in, combined effects. With information operations, combined effect, and making decisions, combined effects is how you strengthen yourself really quickly. I think other things to remember in this, John, is that you're not running your loop in a vacuum, right? Your competitor's running a loop too. And sometimes in today's information operations, and even in the past, they're trying to get inside your loop. So you have to ask yourself, am I learning, or am I learning faster than my market, or is my competitor learning from me faster than I'm learning from myself? Fast loops, small tests to see where you're going. See, in a contested environment, the winner is usually one who gets the decision first. There's a lot of examples of that. We were trying to fuse different systems, and everybody on one side was trying to work for a perfect section when I just said, we've never done this before. Let's just try to put these disparate systems together and see if it even works a little, right? They already wanted like 95% of the solution. I'm like, at this stage, I'll take 60. Well, we got more than 60. And then suddenly everybody got excited and the negativity went away. That's a fast loop on one small test. The classic in the market that I thought about when we were talking about this is Netflix and Blockbuster. Remember, to go to the beginning, go to the end at the beginning, believe it or not, Blockbuster once had streaming services. The only problem is Netflix was so far out ahead of them that they crushed it. They observed right away that they had this rapid increase in consumer people online, whereas Blockbuster stayed with more stores and late fees. And then Netflix just kept pushing up and pushing up. Even before we had some of the high-speed internet we had today, they went into it. So they oriented that the world was changing from DVDs or by mail, and they decided to make it, and they launched their streaming services. After they had already launched it, Blockbuster was losing stores. They went, oh, maybe we should do streaming services, and it was gone. That's a classic case of getting, not only is your loop faster, you observed and got inside somebody else's loop, and quite frankly, destroyed their business model. So that's a pretty cool one. So there's a lot of micro loops in that, right? They started working on how to compress streaming, micro loop. They did rapid troubleshooting on how they could make it better. Meanwhile, they still had their mail-in DVDs. When we used Fuse systems, while we were experimenting, we were working on new programs and new algorithms. We just kept going through. There was a micro loop on the side. That brings up the whole idea of slow loop, big loop, fast loop, micro loop, whatever you want to call it. It's the speed of your loop, not recklessly, but accurately speeding up even subsystems of that. That's how it goes. So the question, you're left with the OODA loop that gets right down to it. what I think about is what's one loop in your ops or your business. And it could even be business process flow. It could be how you're putting pricing together. It could be how you're doing proposals. It could be your planning process. What's one loop that runs way too slow? Drop it in the chat. Give it a thought. Could be the whole loop, could be a micro loop.
John, this would be analogous to that theories of constraint workshop that you and I went to. That's what Bob's talking about there. What is one? Yeah. Whoa.
I'll be frank. I feel like if I dive into my business, I get way too deep into it. There's so many little micro solutions and issues that we deal with, and also our macros.
Yeah.
And if I go into something, I'm going to go down into a rabbit hole of what is one thing that slows us down. And it's so specific. It's not. But our business is very, very specific to the construction industry that we really don't have any competition. So it's not like it's a broad general scope.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, I fear going into something that isn't relevant to your discussion.
Yeah, got it. When I did a lot of research and development, we ran a lot of little micro loops. And what I tried to do is try to stay up with a big loop, because in the end, it was a system of systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept trying to put that into the overall orientation of where I could be disruptive in a system of systems, which was hard to do because you've got a lot of people working on, this guy's working on algorithms, this guy's working on RF, this guy, you know what I mean? Yet, and meanwhile, I had to keep my eye on what's the goal, what's the target, and how could I better orient to act to create a tighter system of systems. It was a struggle for me because you can't be an expert in every field, right? That's impossible. So I had to really try to see not just weaknesses, but how I could create combined effects by bringing the impact of one into another.
We do a lot of tests, and I think that where we fail is that we don't set up those kill dates or, set action dates. We identify issues like we have problems with weather or scheduling or other trades slowing us down. Over the years, we've taken and developed our own electrical company to be able to take over the things that do slow us down in the field, like the electricians.
Wow, awesome.
We now do all the trenching and everything, the pole standing, the conduits that run between them to speed up the real profitability business, which is our concrete drilled piers that hold those poles. So we took over those actions. Now, that is one thing that ran way too slow, so we took over that portion of it, and it's taken 4 years to develop it into 30% of our company and then also make it its own little thing. But in reality, it was a bunch of micro steps along the way to become not just a trenching. Then let's put your conduits in, let's do the wiring, let's add more staff, let's add another group of trucks and equipment until we have 3 or 4 complete separate units to be able to service this thing as it grew.
It's fascinating. I mean, just the decisions and assessments you went through to buy the electrical company was probably would be a very interesting story, I'm sure.
And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we've been doing a lot of this as business owners naturally. It's built into being a leader, right? And so the difference really is to be more intentional about, like you said, John, the kill date. Let's test this. Let's actually use an experiment. Let's test it. Let's have a kill date and move forward with a different, better idea. And so that's, I think, where this ties in. What we're trying to help with here is moving all of this along faster, because we can't afford not to anymore. Right? Things are moving too fast.
Can I use an example? John, I think this will be fun because it's outside of what any one of us three do, but think about the emergency room. So the ER docs and his team and the anesthesiologists and the nurses and everybody there, imagine the OODA loop for them. What really happened? Is there blood everywhere? Is there no blood? Is it passed out? Whatever. Where am I in that? Where's my anesthesiologist? Where are my surgical nurses? Where are my instruments? Cut or not? Start the heart again. What should we do? Take action. And then, Bob, to your point, come back around. Now that we've done that, what's the situation? Where am I in that? And what I love about it, and Bob, you spoke to it, the OODA loop was originally designed, of course, for fast decisions, but it's really great for slow decisions as well. But I was thinking about that, Bob, and so that's analogous to, if you slow that down, it's analogous to any business decision.
Sure.
Right. And
Yeah.
I love it. When you were saying that, explaining the OODA loop, I was imagining the ER where everything is moving extremely fast. And then, Laura, to your point about the kill date or the kill time, is we run this experiment with this patient that just came in, and I have kill time might be 8 minutes on that one. It's not necessarily a week or a day or an hour. It could just be 3 or 4 minutes. But I think in John's business, it's in some of these, John, is like out in the field, teaching those guys to use OODA loop. You know, that might be what Bob might call a micro loop, but it's
That's an OODA loop. Yeah.
yeah.
I really, it's really beyond operations. I used it more in the development work. I did development and testing because in R&D, one of the things that happens is that you don't decide and you don't decide and you don't act and you don't kill things and you just keep, and what happens is you run out of money and you haven't achieved your objective, right? Managing R&D is, you got to be really disciplined, and most people are not, right? They just go till the money runs out. Well, that's all we've been talking about today is setting up a time to go the end at the beginning. This is what I need and I got to do it by now. I think once I started applying, I woke up and started applying the OODA loop into development and into deployments, not my operational background in the Air Force, but in business, things started getting done. I just had to go back to fundamentals. That's why it is a much slower loop. Not everything's an instantaneous, but it really disciplines you. Absolutely.
Well, Bob, I was thinking about this. How do you envision or see that this using the OODA loop can help when we have this sunk cost myth? Well, I've already invested this much. Maybe I should keep investing. What is your thought on that?
Honestly, right there, you go back, you orient yourself and go, I'm just going to be throwing bad money after bad money, right? At some point, you got to, I have been there. I lost. I'm not going to lose anymore. Sorry, that's not you can't, it's broken and you can't fix it. Stop. It wasn't a bad idea when you started. Sometimes this is what happened to me, but it took us too long to get there. And now I'm too late to the market and I've lost. So no matter how much I polish it, I'm not going to change the market sales.
That's why it ties in nicely.
This was autonomous vehicle tech transfer, and we just fell behind other people because people didn't move fast enough.
But it's why it ties in nicely to this other 4-step framework.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Setting up that kill date and the parameters for it makes all the difference. And you can run simultaneous loops, right? It's competing loops against others, but it's also competing against your, other experiments inside. Pricing and advertising, all the different things that you can try can all be running simultaneously. You can compare them against each other, right? But you just got to end one.
It's where I started. It's being decisive, right? I go back. I gave it to you yesterday. My favorite quote by Patton, right? A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed 3 weeks from now. There it is.
Thank you, Patton. So good. Well, and that's exactly what these experiments are meant to do, right? They're speed up those loops without burning all your resources. Yeah. So easy to say. Well, I actually want to tie that back to yours, Dr. Steve, in regards to your thought about the LinkedIn thing, your example, that you can be running a simultaneous test with a different approach, right? You got to be able to keep something similar in order to have a good side-by-side comparison. You can run two of those at the same time. You can run as many as you want at the same time, but have the which one results or which several results, have the results that you're looking for. So
right. So let me ask you a question of you and Bob on this. So I love that it's me and John together, so there's not a big audience because this is great for us to play this out. So, one of the thoughts I had, I could, to your point, Laura, is I could have a parallel. I could be having LinkedIn posts of me talking, and then I could do an AI generated persona doing it and watch which one hits better for the target audience I'm looking for. That would be an example of running two experiments at the same time.
exactly. Yep. That's the beauty of what, some call micro loops, it's called a couple different things, but the beauty of those is that you can be testing several things. You're not drawing things out. You just have to be decisive about those. Fast, specific. Learn. It's all about learning. I think that's the mindset shift that needs to happen, is if you go into it with learning in mind, it changes how you approach the whole experiment. It's about learning. So I gave you a cautionary tale before. I'm going to share a success story instead, just to kind of give you guys some more context. Knew a regional HR consulting firm. They'd only been serving kind of mid-sized companies, like the 50 to 200 employees, for, over 10 years probably. And the owner was really interested in kind of moving up into that enterprise level account. So, the more than 500 employee level. And her team was like, nope, it's too different. It's too risky. It's too long of a sales cycle. And so she applied the framework. So her assumption was that she believed that their methodology translates to enterprise clients, and if they pay and that they will pay a premium for their boutique approach. That was her belief statement. Her kill question was, will enterprise HR directors take a meeting with us based on our current positioning? So the test was to reach out to 15 enterprise prospects over 30 days with a single repositioned outreach message. It was it. Quick, decisive. They knew exactly what it was they were looking for. With no new website and no new materials and no new hire, just 15 conversations, 9 responded. 5 of them took the call. 2 became clients within 90 days. Their average was 3 times the average contract value. So the test that couldn't work became their fastest growing segment in her company. But she didn't bet the firm on it. She ran a loop.
So John, this might apply to, I love this example, Laura, this might apply to expanding to Montana for your business, or Arizona, or something like that, and run this smart experiment. So number one, Bob, is really the assumption, right? It's the assumption. I believe that. So we could run, I was just thinking about in John's business, if we want to assume that expanding, we'll just say Arizona, expanding to Arizona could be more profitable than staying only in Colorado. Great. And then you would have your kill questions and all of that to that. So that would be an example, I think, in John's business of what might be real. Should we expand to other states, or should we go harder hitting across Colorado or whatever? I think this would be a great tool for that.
I'll say I'm about $300,000 deep and already expanded into Arizona. So, and it took 6 months worth of work on the ground there to get it finally where we're starting to generate revenue, but it is generating revenue quickly now. But
Congratulations.
it was a long road with about maybe 4 months of build up and preparation and training of individuals and stuff. But it's probably one of our biggest things that I was nervous about doing, but it really was, and it was scary. Lots of hours and everything.
Congratulations.
Because it didn't have a kill point, it didn't have a kill date. It just had, let's try to hit these kind of parameters. As you touched on that, I'm like, man, I've got a couple of big ones that we do. I do a lot of micros. I'm actually the boat anchor when it comes to step 2. I will do cost analysis and say, no, we're not going to pursue that. We're not going to pursue this. We're not going to start a vacuum truck company because it's only 4% of our expenses. I'm not going to do it for that. It doesn't warrant it. But the new ownership group.
Yeah, I hear you. A lot of times my kill question is the budget. Sorry, it's just cost, right?
Well, will it generate the risk and, for the risk involved and everything. But the new ownership group was pretty pressed to go into Arizona and take on something that would generate income during the slower first quarter months of Colorado when the weather isn't as good. So it had a good backing plan and everything. But to start a boutique company in another state 12 hours away, it's much different than starting another one, 6 hours down the road, where you can visit it easily. So it has been a process. But one of the biggest things, like I said, is that we didn't have really a kill date or when there's enough losses, enough losses, when do we stop? But I guess that's the fighter in us, we just don't quit, but we should at some points.
That's good.
Excellent conversation. I love being able to get real specific on these. And don't forget too, John, that there's still plenty to decide out there in Arizona, right? There's still new things that are going to be popping up all the time. So you can still apply this to the new things that pop up. So I'm going to give one more quick little poll here for you guys to complete for us. What would make it the easiest for your team to start experimenting, to turn this into part of your culture? What's the real barrier right now that is keeping you from implementing it into your culture? Is it that you need the process or framework, which hopefully now we've provided a couple different approaches to that, that you need more leadership buy-in, that you need more time and bandwidth, or that you just need to start? So we got one of each. I love that you two always are given one of each of those of the answers. So the time and bandwidth thing, I want to put that into context in regards to the time and cost and resources and culture and all the costs that go with not doing it. Right? It's analogous to taking the time to work on your business rather than in your business, right? It always will help you to spend a little bit more time examining things and preparing for things. Similar with this, the time and bandwidth to do experiments is going to save you so much time and other resources. So consider that. And then just needing to start with something small. Start with something you came up with today. And that's actually going to be my suggestion in general. Your only homework is to essentially take either the idea that you came up with today or another one, take the time before you close our window today of this Zoom call, take the time to start with an experiment. One question, one assumption or idea, and then one kill question and all the things that go around that. Real quick, just before you drop off here, because I know it's almost time, if you guys wouldn't mind throwing into chat the biggest takeaway you got from today's little mini approach to this decision-making helper that we gave you guys today, because we're really, again, in an hour, we could have gone deep. This started with the idea of Sprint, the book Sprint, and there's so many other great things out there. But what Bob and I were trying to do is make it the overall concept of how to do these things, faster, more decisive learning, So, John, setting your action decision date, so good, so important. That's my biggest takeaway from even preparing this. I'm like, oh, I could do a way better job on that. So I love that. And Steve, Uda can and should be applied to everything. Poor Laura Drury, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, stop it. As you guys are cooking in the kitchen together, right?
Yeah. I put a little bit too much garlic in there. Now what?
Orient, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, all right. So, Bob, would you have some final words for us, and maybe why this matters right now?
John, first of all, I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much.
Likewise.
Yeah, I guess just remember every step of the way, just keep going and keep learning. The observing and learning never ends. We all know that to be successful. And I think even when you're trying to process it, once you've even made a decision, be open to learning. That means making your decisions, refining them, or changing them. That's what I had to learn for sure.
You have a saying, Bob, that you've shared with me in the past that I really love. It's short.
Oh, yeah. This came from running a lot of teams that were trying to do all these different small collection and information mission. It was basically once you put the group together and they were ready to go, I would just say, let go. I had to say to myself, let go and let's go. And
so good.
Let go and let's go.
It's so easy to remember. It's almost like a mantra. I really love that one. And it really ties the whole thing. That's really what this is all about. The goal isn't to be right. The goal is to be a faster learner than anybody else. Yeah. So the framework's 4 steps, and you tie in the OODA loop to it. I put the worksheet in as into chat. So make sure you've grabbed that and downloaded it. And yeah, thank you. This was a really, really great group. And I hope that you'll go forth and experiment responsibly with a kill date. And thank you both very much for being here today. And Bob, thank you very much for all of your expertise.
See you later.
Great. Good to see you all.
Have a great day.